I forgot my microphone is muted. All right, should be good to go now. There I am. Something sounded weird at the end of that song. I don't know what that was. Hello and welcome to an Ableton office hours song feedback stream. Sweet. So let me. Oh, that's more stuff in that session there. So song feedback stream is what we're doing today. That was one of the new songs I'm working on for my Song Week challenge. It's definitely getting there. So let me go ahead and get this started by putting a link in the chat to the spreadsheet. I'm gonna go ahead and pin that to the top of the spreadsheet. So if you would like to send me a track, that is how you're gonna do it, by going in there and you just paste in the link to your song, wherever I can stream it. And then I will listen to them in the order that I receive them. Hey Bishop, how you doing today? Yeah, this one made a lot of progress since yesterday. Although there was something weird happening with one of the synths and at the very end there. I'm not sure what that was. So we are going to be getting into your tracks, and before we get into those, the thing I like to do at the start of each one of these streams is go over the basic rules, the guidelines, the things that you need to know for sending me a track. The first of which is original tracks only. So no remixes, nothing like that. Mostly just because of copyright strikes. YouTube is very strict about that kind of stuff, and I just don't want to have to deal with it. Yeah, it definitely has some like burial kind of feel to it once I added those vocals. It's like a burial quartet kind of thing. So original tracks only. Don't make me get more copyright things on my account. Other than that, ideally works in progress only. Not that I can't give you feedback on something that's finished, but if it's already finished and released and out in the world, you're probably not going to go back in there and like change things up. So ideally works in progress, but it doesn't necessarily need to be work in progress. On top of that, if you are receiving feedback, if you're submitting a song to get feedback, it is highly encouraged but not required for you to give other people feedback as well. That way we can all learn from each other, we can all help each other out, and we can all kind of like, you know, you hear not just my opinions about the tracks, but hear everybody else's opinions as well. I would also like to mention that all genres and all styles and all experience levels are welcome. So it doesn't matter what kind of music you're making. I just want to hear whatever it is you're working on. So if you're brand new, if you've been doing this a long time, doesn't matter to me. Either way, I'm excited to hear your tracks. On top of that, songs will be reviewed in a first come, first served basis. So I'm just going to go kind of top to bottom through the spreadsheet. If you have more than one song that you would like to have reviewed, please wait until the end of the stream. Usually I will have time to listen to more than one track. However, sometimes I don't. So just to make my life easier, wait until the end of stream if you're going to send in more than one track at a time. On top of that, the videos will all be posted to the channel, which means that if you can't make it to one of these streams live, you can't make it on a Wednesday, but you still want to get feedback on a track, you don't need to be here live. So you can, I use the same spreadsheet every single week, so you can just put in a link to your track any point during the week, and I will then, see it as I'm going through the songs, and then you can just watch back the video later on. All the videos for the live streams are not on the main video page for the channel. They're on the playlist page under the live stream playlist. So feel free to always come in early if you want to get your track in early, or if you can't make it to the actual thing live, you're more than welcome to do that as well. I think that's mostly it. And then lastly, if you are getting feedback, all feedback is free. I just do this for fun because I really like doing this and I enjoy it and I like hearing what you guys are working on. However, if you would like to support the channel, there's a bunch of free ways for you to do that. You can hit the like button, you can subscribe, you can do any of that kind of stuff. You can watch all my videos on repeat. You can post them on social media, whatever. Those are all very nice things that I greatly appreciate. If you want to help support the channel financially, you can super chat in the YouTube chat, which is very nice, and that's a cool way to like tip me for feedback. Or you can check out the Patreon, and that's where I do extra live streams and other fun stuff going on over there. So yeah, that is all of the pre-game stuff that you guys need to know about. So, oh yeah, and then join the Discord too. You can check that out as well. So yeah, so normally is when I get started with the first tracks. However, nobody has put in a track yet, so I'm just gonna sit here and stare at the camera and see if anybody has a track. And if you would like to send in a track, click on the link pinned up at the top of the chat. That'll take you to the spreadsheet, and then that is where you send me your songs. And you put in your YouTube name, any links to social media that you want, any comments, things you want me to know about, all that kind of stuff. Just toss it in there, and that's how I will listen to your tracks. And if nobody ends up having any tracks for me, then I guess I'll just play some of my own, and we can talk about those, I guess. No worries, Bishop. Take your time getting home. No rush whatsoever. But yeah, so I might as well go ahead and show another track. This is another one I was working on last night. Wait, that's not the right one. Where I added some vocals, and I'm not sure about the vocals. I think I might keep some of the vocals and then just tone them down. But we'll take a listen to it, and you guys can let me know what you think. Vocals don't come until later, but we'll check it out. Yeah, I'm still not sure how I'm feeling about the vocals. I think they feel a little bit repetitive and a little bit distracting in a lot of cases. So I like a lot of like the really background ones, like this one. They kind of like sit way back in the mix. I think a lot of the forward vocals are not doing it for me. They sound like I need some more variation there. I might chop them up some more and do some more stuff with them. But I think I'll probably keep the vocals in general. But the rest of the song I really like. There's one sound I think I wanted to turn down. That one. Here's what I might do for this one. I might turn the velocities way down. Yeah, there's some of the vocal phrase that's like it's too repetitive, so I'm gonna chop it up and slice it up and do some more to it. But I like a lot of the rest of what's going on here. But yeah, this is one of the 8 tracks that I'm wrapping up this week for my Song of the Week challenge that I hopefully should have ready to go all by the end of the week. Thanks, Jay. I'm glad you like it. So if anybody is just now joining us and would like to submit a track to get some feedback on, you can do so by clicking on the link pinned up at the top of the chat and put your link in that spreadsheet there. But as of right now, this is a track I'm working on that I think just needs a little bit of love to push it over that final edge there. Yeah, some more chopping and slicing on the vocals, but the rest of it I think sounds pretty good. Like if we mute the vocals, I think just the instrumental. Yeah, I like these two a lot better. So I might keep those guys down there. I don't know if the kick is perfect. I've been putting a lot less effort into my kicks, and it somehow is working out for me a little bit. But that's one of the things I've been struggling with a lot of these. You know, one of the nice things about doing a song a week is like you get to realize what kind of patterns you make and what kind of mistakes you make a lot. And kicks for me are super, super important. And I've been noticing that a lot of the time in the past, I've been spending a lot of time in my kicks and just not getting the kicks I wanted. So I've been spending less time on my kicks and just being really minimal about it. And it's been working for me for the most part, I feel like. But just kind of simplifying that whole process around processing my kick drums has I think, made a big difference. And I'm still a little concerned. This is one of the big things I'm going to be doing probably tomorrow and Friday is just going through all the tracks and just making sure the kicks are where I want them to be, because as of right now, it can be tricky to tell if they're too quiet or too loud in a lot of these tracks. But honestly, the secret to a lot of these kicks right now is just the drum synth and then a saturator. These two combined, just like, there's so many different kick sounds you can get out of just these two, and it's so much faster to me than scrolling through my kick drum folder or going to Splice and finding a new kick drum and just like, all right, I can just toss this on here, tweak it for like 20 seconds and get a decent kick out of it. So this has been doing a lot of heavy lifting on a lot of my kicks to just make them sound good. And if this is not doing it for me, then I'll take a sample and I'll layer this with the sample, and then again I can tweak it a little bit to get the two to mesh together nicely. But I feel like I'm, you know, writing a song a week is forcing me to really streamline the process and, you know, cut corners in some ways. And the drum synth kick is just, it's really good. Like, I don't know what to say. I made a video about this a long time ago, and since I made that video, it's been one of my absolute go-tos for my kick drums and hi-hats. I don't use the drum synth for snares, but the kick and the hat drum synth are fantastic. Yeah, Jay, making things not sound repetitive is definitely always an issue, I think. That's why one of the things I'll do a lot is if I have, for example, a sound like this vocal sample. So like, that's kind of cool. I like that, but I need to get more out of it. So what I'll do is I'll duplicate the whole track, and then I'll, on the duplicated version, I'll go in and I'll try just some like really major changes to it. So I will like reverse it, for example. And if I don't like that, maybe I'll pitch it up an octave or down an octave. This one I think actually go. Try different, like going nuts with it. A -1, right? Actually, I should go to 11 or -13. Like that's kind of cool. And then maybe I will, you know, loop part of it. Maybe I'll just loop this. And maybe warp it a little bit so it's on time a little better. Maybe I'll just do that. Did I do it on the wrong one? I think I did. Oh no, that was right. Yeah, and just like make a bunch of crazy changes and see what happens. And then like, all right, now we're gonna go nuts with the effects on this. And already has some delay on it. Maybe you want to do some like choppy sounds to it. And then I have something like the layers with the other sound. That's like, it's kind of related to the original sound because it started as the same thing, but now it's different enough that we can like get more out of it, and we can use this as like a way to go back and forth between different sounds. Maybe we'll put some echo on this. The other fun thing to do is just chop things out and put in like fade ins and fade outs in weird places. So and that's a great way to like come up with different kind of comment, like variations on something. just by duplicating the whole track and then kind of picking out little bits and then turning that into something kind of interesting. It's a super fun way to like process things. Sweet. So it looks like we got a track from Bishop. Let me go ahead and pull this up. And let me make sure everything is ready to go. Turn this on, let me turn that off. All right, and be repeat on the master every single time. Yeah, be repeat on that actually would sound really, that'd be perfect for something like that. Or buffer shuffler on something like this is also a fantastic tool for this. Sweet. So as always with the first song, I'm gonna do a little sound check. So let me know if it's too quiet, too loud, any of that stuff. Nice. I'm not sure if it's supposed to end like that. You're not just done building out the arrangement yet. But yeah, it's super interesting. It's a bit funkier than a lot of the other stuff that you've played, I feel like. So yeah, really cool vibes with it. It's like a kind of a groovy, almost kind of like disco-y kind of feel to it. Almost kind of like a funky kind of thing going on, which is sounds cool. I think what I'm hearing a lot here is your mix on the drums especially is a little bit all over the place. The kick sounded too quiet and a lot of your percussive elements sounded a bit too loud in my opinion. And I think that main synth line, the main kind of melodic synth part, could use a little bit of processing. How you choose to process it, I think, is kind of up to you. You could put a little bit of delay on there, a little bit of reverb on it. I don't know, something to spice it up a little bit. To me, it just sounds like, you know, not that this song is all about sound design, but from a sound design perspective, the main synth line to me sounds a little basic. Especially because a lot of the other stuff sounds for this really kind of like rich and processed kind of sound. And that main synth just feels like it feels really dry compared to everything else. It sounds like you've got a little bit too much reverb on your snare sound. I think a little bit of swing on the main synth part could be kind of nice as well. I like this part a lot. So I wouldn't worry too much about the kick pattern. Nobody's going to be listening to this and thinking like, oh man, that kick pattern sounds repetitive. I think as long as the kick is kind of like holding the rhythm and keeping it down that way, I think the kick pattern's great the way it is. Like if occasionally you wanted to throw in a couple extra like kicks as a fill or something like that, that's totally fine. But I think the kick sounds fine. And then I got a question here about the ending part. To me, it kind of sounds like you are cranking up the detune on that main kind of pad layer as the song goes on to create a little bit of sense of discomfort or kind of disharmony there. And I'm wondering if that's something you're going to lean harder into. I know your kind of style tends to be a bit more of this kind of like to challenge your listener, which is great. Because it sounds like it's kind of like it's slowly drifting out of tune, which I think is a really cool effect. And I'm curious whether you're planning on going farther and farther, like as the song goes on, it's going to sound more and more out of tune and more kind of like weird and strange. Because I think it's a cool direction for you to take it. But the arrangement ends a little bit before you get to that. So I think it's a cool idea. And I definitely think that like as that's happening, it stays the same the whole time. Are you sure? Because this doesn't sound out of tune. There's something going on towards the end of the song where it's a little detuned that wasn't there over in the middle of the song. So yeah, maybe that's not intentional. Maybe that's kind of happened, but it does create this kind of sense of like drifting into chaos, which I think is a kind of a cool concept. Yeah, try just taking the detune and turning up the detune little by little as the song goes on, and that way it'll start off as this kind of like funky disco-y kind of song, and then as it goes on, it gets more and more attuned, and the drums could get sloppier at the same time, so kind of like you could make the whole song kind of like fall apart intentionally as a stylistic choice if you want to, which I think could be kind of cool. But yeah, that's cool. It's like a different style than what I've heard before. Sweet. Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that. You could also, I think, kind of toss some vocals on here too, and that could be kind of cool. To do what I did for that other song I played at the start of the stream. Just put some like soul vocals in there, and that could be a nice way to kind of like round out the arrangement a little bit, round out the layering of what's going on. Sweet. Well, that's the the only song in the spreadsheet so far. So if you are just now joining us and you would like to send a track in and get some feedback on it, now is the time to do so because you will be up next. Yeah, no worries, Bishop. Hey, Tristan. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and toss it in the spreadsheet whenever you get the chance. Hopefully you guys are having a good day today. I got a bunch of work done last night after stream, and I'm feeling really good about the progress I've made on some of those tracks. I'm excited to get these done and then start some new ones next week. Looks like there's people in the spreadsheet poking around a little bit. So I'll wait for you guys to get something linked in there. All right, looks like we got a track from Tristan. I was actually thinking about doing some vocals, my own vocals for a song coming up. I won't be rapping though. Nice, that was really sick. I really like that. Before we get into the feedback, I just want to let people know if you have a song you would like to get feedback on, go ahead and click on the link pinned up at the top of the chat. That'll send you to the spreadsheet, and that's how you send me your tracks. But yeah, really nice work on this. Overall, stylistically, I really love it. The like very kind of like 80s arpeggiated bass line, but also has this like really thick, full sound. It sounds very modern. It's like a nice combination of two, like the modern and kind of like older styles. A lot of your sound design is really cool. I liked especially a lot of your like things that happen in between the big bassy parts, like the outro had some really cool synthy stuff going on. A lot of really nice use of arpeggiators. So overall, pretty fantastic. I like it quite a bit. I do have a couple minor changes, a couple little things that you might want to take a look into that might need a little bit of love. So I noticed you start off with this really heavy filter on basically the master, on everything, which I think is kind of a cool effect. But this might be a personal preference thing. I'm not a big fan of doing kind of filters on everything like this. I think maybe doing filters on some things, maybe on like your kick and a couple other things, but maybe not filtering everything. Like maybe leave the chords there and everything else is filtered. Just so you get a bit more of like a richer sonic range, especially during the intro, which is really important because when people, hit play, this pops up on a Spotify playlist or whatever, you got like, 10 to 15 seconds to grab people's attention before they hit the next song, right? So you want to make sure you come in with a little bit more power than this, or at least that's the way I feel about it. And then you do it later on. You have another big filter situation. I think it's here. And ultimately what this is doing is it's getting rid of a lot of the power of the energy of the build. Like there's a lot of stuff going on here that could sound really cool if it wasn't so filtered. I know you're bringing the filter up with the rest of the build, but I think either choosing specific things to be filtered or just not going quite so heavy with the filter might be ways where you can still get that effect of sweeping and motion without it totally just like taking over what's happening in the song. So those two places, a little heavy on the filters. The other thing you might want to consider in terms of like doing this heavy filtering on everything is when either you are DJing this song live or somebody else is DJing the song. This is the kind of filtering a DJ would do live, right? Where they like start off low and they kind of build it up with the build. And that means that it's one less thing for you or somebody else as a DJ to be doing on stage with this song because it's already built in there. So I would say potentially, tone down those filters. And then if you want to do it live, you can do it live as you're DJing. And then that becomes like a special thing as part of the performance of what you're doing. So that's kind of my thoughts on the filters there. A little bit too heavy for my taste. If you like them the way they are, go for it. But I would tone them back a little bit. Other than that, the snare that happens here and it happens later on, to me just sounds like a pretty generic 808 kind of snare, which there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But I think a lot of your other sounds sound really developed and they sound really kind of rich and full. So I would probably layer up that snare with a different snare, this one that has like a bit more of like a crispy kind of quality to it, just to make it pop a little bit more. And I think that could be really helpful because I do think, a lot of the rest of the sounds you're choosing in this song sound really good. But then I love this like main kind of drop area. I think some of the kind of like bongo-y sounds are a little bit loud, but other than that, I love it. Yeah, same thing with the snare. This like snare could use a little bit of love, but I like the kick. I love the arpeggiations. The bass line sounds really dope. I also think your open hat might be a little bit loud as well for my taste. but only by a little bit. Yeah, those are the only real things that I think need some work. There's not really much in here that I think needs a lot of love. It sounds like this track is very well on its way to being finished, and it sounds really good. So yeah, really nice work on this one. Chat, you got any other thoughts, ideas, questions? Let us know. Tristan, hopefully that is helpful. And if anybody would like to send in a track, you can send me one by clicking on the link pinned at the top of the chat, and then that'll take you to the spreadsheet, and then that's where you send me the track. Yeah, no worries, Tristan. It's sounding really good. Like I said, I'm digging the vibe of the kind of like retro arpeggiated bass line. I think it sounds really good. And if you listen to any of my music, especially the stuff I've been working on recently, you'll know I'm a big fan of just arpeggiated synth lines and just going nuts with arpeggiators. Arpeggiators plus synths plus delays equates to perfect song every time. I don't know where everybody is with the tracks today. Normally, I'm like by this point of the stream, I have like a backlog of 10 songs I need to catch up on. But I appreciate both you guys, Tristan and Bishop, for sending in tracks. And if nobody has any tracks, if anybody has any questions about or things they want to talk about, feel free to toss them in the chat. And this is not really an office hours stream, but we can talk about whatever you guys want. Or I can just go back to talking about processing vocals and this track I'm working on. But I'll definitely be hanging out here for a little while longer in case more people. Yeah, you're more than welcome to send in another track, Bishop, at this point. Keeps me from having to improvise for the rest of the stream until more people show up with tracks. This is usually right around the time where a bunch of people start showing up, like 40 or so minutes into the stream. It's always a battle trying to battle with the YouTube algorithm to try to get people to show up to stream sometimes. But once again, thanks to all the people who are sending in tracks. This whole stream really wouldn't be anything without you guys sending me the songs. Okay, well, I can also share another one of my songs that I've been working on if you guys want to give me some feedback. Yeah, I'm trying to be really consistent about the stream times, and that way people know, like, okay, Wednesday, song feedback stream. I'm also trying to encourage people to send in songs during the week. And that way, when I just show up, there'll be songs in there. Like, you can upload songs whenever you want. Like, I use the same spreadsheet every single time, so you can just pop a song in there, and that way I listen to it at the start of the stream. I wonder if there's an easier way to streamline the song submission process as well. I don't know how other streamers do it. I haven't really been paying attention to what other people are doing, if they're doing song feedback streams, if there's like, you know, a separate way to do it. I've been thinking about migrating it more towards the Discord somehow. But then it kind of like, if people just show up to the stream and want to share stuff, then they don't have to join the Discord this way. No, I am not in the habit of posting when I'm streaming on the Discord. I should probably just start doing that. That's not a bad idea. All right, looks like we got another track from Bishop. Nice, that's pretty sick. Reminds me a little bit of Merce Beat, which is probably one of the best Merce albums. I don't think you turned it down too much. I turned it down about halfway in the drive, and then it's also being turned down before it's hitting YouTube. So it's probably a lot quieter here than it actually is. So yeah, that's really sick. I believe I've heard this before, and it definitely sounds a lot more cohesive than last time I heard it. I think if this was my track, a couple of things you might want to consider is maybe have the first section be a little bit more minimal and then have it kind of like get more complex over time. It feels like a lot of this first kind of third of the song, it's mostly just kind of like the gating, the kind of chopping it out is what's giving it its feel. So maybe do a little bit of more like a less is more kind of thing on the first part, and then it kind of like gets more complicated towards the end. I thought the end was fantastic. I thought like basically here onwards, like it feels like everything's kind of swelling in this really satisfying way and kind of like overwhelms you with sounds. And I like that part a lot. The thing I would take a look at is that as of right now, like I said, the thing that's kind of giving the first part its feeling is that gating and that chopping. And right now it just sounds totally random. There's nothing inherently wrong with totally random things like that. However, I think repeating random is a better way to do it. And what I mean by that is if we were to just have like, not that one. If I were just to like put in a bunch of random notes, you know, random notes forever, it just sounds kind of random and chaotic, right? But if I put in random notes in a pattern, and then I loop that pattern, it's still random, but there's like a predictability to it, right? We kind of get used to certain patterns happening, even though it feels kind of random. And then once you've done that a few times and people get used to kind of one pattern, then you have a different pattern, and then you loop that for a little bit. And so it's like, it still has this chaotic feel to it. It's still like, you know, it's still not super consistent, but you let the randomness kind of loop for a few times, and then you go to a new random pattern, and then you let that loop a few times. And that way people can kind of like rhythmically figure that out. And then you hit them with a new thing, and you can keep changing it, right? So I think that'd be really cool for a lot of the chopping that's happening in the beginning. Yeah, like those patterns feel like they could be a little bit more cohesive in terms of like, okay, we get a certain pattern and then another pattern and another pattern. That's up to you. If you like the more kind of like organic feel of it feeling totally random, that's totally legit option, and then go for it. But I kind of like the idea of having it be like, okay, here's one set of random chops and here's another set of random chops, and kind of like alternate between them. I like that middle section a lot. I think that's mostly it. I think that's yeah, I don't know what's causing, there's something that's causing your volume to chop out in the first section, whatever's causing that. It might be like buffer shuffle or something like that. It's kind of what it sounds like. But yeah, other than that, I really like it. I think the middle section is kind of cool. It's different enough. It kind of breaks things up in a nice way. I think it'd be cool to have a slightly or entirely less processed kick drum during some of these sections. And that way it cuts through the mix a bit more. And so that way you get this big, heavy kind of pounding low end kind of thing. And then you have all the chaotic layers on top of it in like the mid and high range. That also might be something I would look into if this was my track. Not totally necessary, but I think it'd be cool. Yeah, if you just like a big thumping kick drum in there, I think it'd be really cool. But yeah, those are the kind of the main things I'm noticing in there that I think could use a little bit of work or love in there. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I like it. Sweet. So once again, we have gotten through all the songs in the spreadsheet. So if anybody is just joining us or has not yet sent in a track, now would be a good time to do so. Just go ahead and click on the link pinned up at the top of the chat. Yeah, I think you've got a real talent for this kind of like chaotic, noisy sound. And I think it's working for you. I'm trying to think of who else this reminds me of. I feel like it reminds me of another artist. It might be Heck that this reminds me of. I think it's probably. I think I might have mentioned that name last time you played this song. I don't know Rame. I'll check them out. Yeah, a little bit of Autechre. I could definitely see that. Oh, I don't know what it is. It reminds me of the Autechre remix of Merzbow. I forget which song he remixed. Or they remix. Yeah, the remix of Eco Bondage. That's kind of what this reminds me of a little bit. No worries, Josh. Appreciate you popping by and saying hi. I'm stoked to hear what you've been working on. Sweet. Well, yeah, at this point, I'm still kind of waiting for people to send in tracks. So what I'm going to do is probably share another one of mine that I've been working on. And then we'll see if anybody else shows up. So we already heard this one. We heard that one. Which other ones did I really like? This is the one I was working on stream. Sure, we'll save that. This is the one I was working on stream the other day, and I've made some changes to it. But this one and the one I played at the start of stream might be my two favorites so far. Of the 8 that I've written this year. Wait, I just realized you guys can't hear that. Let me turn this on so you guys can hear it. Let's start that one again. Hey, that sounds dope, Josh. See you, Josh. So one of the big changes I made in here is this riser. Is based off of the technique that I did in one of my videos I released not too long ago, where I basically use shifter with the LFO, the really slow rates, and then just tweak some of the settings in there. And it works amazingly. I've done this on 3 or 4 tracks now, and every single time it sounds different, and every single time it sounds awesome. And so this is essentially how I'm doing all of my risers moving forward. So the original sound without this just sounds like this. It's just this. And then with the shifter turned on, let me fix that. So it starts like this. Riser comes on. Yeah, super fun. This is I might have to make a whole separate video just on different techniques for using this thing, because every time I use it, I'm like discovering new things about it, which is great. The other thing I would like to mention real quick, since there's no other songs in the spreadsheet as of right now, is the importance of staying organized. And this is a topic that I'm going to cover in a video in the next couple weeks, probably. But I'd like to take this moment to talk a little bit about making deadlines, committing to those deadlines, and how to actually achieve those, because this is part of my whole experiment that I'm doing with my Song a Week challenge. So most of you guys already know I'm writing 1 song a week for basically the entirety of 2022. And we are now 9 weeks in, and I've been working on 8 songs so far, and I'm using this week as a catch-up week, which is something I'm going to do every couple weeks now. But the thing that stresses me out about writing a lot of music all at once is that it's hard to keep track of all your ideas, right? I like writing lots of songs and then kind of picking my favorites and then finishing those ones. And if I have too many songs that I'm working on, too many things that I'm trying to keep track in my head, then it gets fairly confusing and it gets becomes overwhelming, and then I don't want to deal with any of it because it's just too much to handle. So having a spreadsheet like this is a really fantastic way to approach making lots of music simultaneously and not getting bogged down in it, and not getting too crazy. So what I did here is I just put in the weeks. I haven't named the songs yet. I'm going to be doing that this week. I put in the tempo, put in what key that they're in, what length they are, any like descriptions of the song or style. And then here I have where I am in the workflow. And this is based off of the workflow video I made a little while ago, where purple is pre-production, blue is content generation, so just making ideas, green is arranging, yellow is mixing, orange is mastering, and then red is basically released, essentially. What's up, Mike? How you doing? Yeah, spreadsheets are always that. This is an Ableton / spreadsheet channel. Then I put any influences, any things this reminds me of. I put in burial here, just to kind of help me remind me which track is which. And then any notes about like things that I need to do. So like this one, there's a little too much noise on it. Fix the mastering is a little harsh. You know, this one needs some better transitions, more variations on melodies. Just things I'm noticing that like need some work or some love. So anytime I'm working on either an album or just more than one song at a time, this is massively, massively helpful. And that way, sometimes when I sit down, I'm like, okay, what song needs the most work? Oh, this one does. Let me go ahead and work on that and get that up and going. So this is something I did earlier this week, and already since doing this, I feel way better about my life. And it's just going to allow me to focus and actually get a bunch of stuff done this week. So use tools like this when you're making music. It's a great way to like keep all your goals organized. No, I do not know about Kanban board. I'm going to write that down so I remember to look it up after stream. Yeah, just from looking at the images when I Googled Kanban board, this really kind of similar idea. It just allows you to like visualize what you're doing, what you're working on, right? Especially if you're working on lots of projects at the same time. So this is allowing me to basically do all that, keep track of everything, keep doing. And I've done every single album that I've written, I've done this for. Especially as I get towards the end, especially as I get closer to like mixing and mastering and stuff. This is a really easy way to keep your ideas organized and stay focused when you are trying to finish lots of songs all at the same time. So highly recommend this. I'm gonna make a whole video just about this whole process and basically repeat what I just said. But there's a little pro tip. Use spreadsheets for things like this. Yeah, exactly. Because I'll have tons of songs where I sit down for 20 minutes, make a little idea, and then it sits in a folder and I never touch it anymore because I forget about it. So just being like, okay, anytime you're writing a song, put it in the spreadsheet, put it in the list, and that way you're like, oh, that song I started a couple weeks ago, let me go back in and take a look at that. Really great idea. These are the kind of things that I think really separate a lot of the like amateurs in the audio world from professionals in the audio world. Like if you are relying on music to pay your rent, stuff like this is immensely, immensely helpful. Because you have deadlines, you got things you need to do, you got clients, you got people you're working for. So if you're just making music for fun and it doesn't really matter if you ever finished anything or not, this is not a big deal. But if you want to finish songs, this is a great way to get in there, finish songs, because it feels really good to be like, oh, I just checked this off the list. I can move on from my life. I don't need this in here anymore. So the to-do list, great way to get a little bit more out of your time. Because everybody's busy. Everybody's got, things that they're doing. Everybody's got, friends, family, life, errands to run, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so Mike, I use, you'll notice that in my actual template here, this is basically the template that I use for production. I start with purple, and I go purple, blue, green, yellow, orange. Those are the colors I use for my tracks. I specifically don't use the color red because that way, if there's a track that like needs some attention, like say this thing is not doing it for me, I'll mark it red. And that way, next time I open up this project, I'll be like, oh, red, that means this needs some love. And then I'll focus on this thing first. So I'll do that quite a bit as I'm kind of going through, and if I'm done for the night, but I'm like, you know what, these two sounds really not doing it for me, mark them both red, and then come back the next day, and where to focus your attention. The spreadsheet is also a great way to do that as well. You can, put notes in here. Basically, like, these are things that I need to focus on. Sweet. So still have not gotten any other new tracks uploaded. I'm gonna hang out for another, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes or so. So if anybody has a track they want to share, go ahead, pop it in the spreadsheet. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep talking about the spreadsheet. Actually, I don't know if I have anything else really to say about the spreadsheet. Oh my God, Jay, that is 100% my number one biggest feature request. Like, every time I sit down with people from Ableton and they're like, what kind of features would you like? I'm like, I want to remove colors from the color wheel. Because I do not like any color from this column right here. It's not that I don't like the color brown, but I use rainbow colors in my templates and in everything that I do in live. And so guaranteed, if I hit Command T a couple times, those are all going to be the color of the last track there. But if I start a new project, it'll just make everything brown every time I make a new track. And I want to remove brown from the colors that I can select, because to me, those are not colors I'm ever going to use. So I've mentioned it to people at Ableton. They have hopefully passed that information along. I'm hoping that one day there'll be a way to just, in your preferences, go in and like turn off certain colors that your tracks cannot be. That would be fantastic. It's good to know that I'm not the only one. Sometimes when I mention to people, they're like, why do you really care? Like, why does that make a difference? And I'm like, no, colors are very important to me when I'm making music. Everything like visually has to look a certain way for me to feel okay about it. So glad I'm not the only one. Yeah, exactly. Especially if I start from, did I make any changes to this? I just played around with the riser there. Like, if I make a new project, like, almost guaranteed, of course, now I don't get brown. There we go. I always get these colors in a row, and I don't like it. So that's my number one feature request. And every single time I talk to somebody from Ableton, that's what I mention. So it looks like we got a track from Mike. Let me pull it up. Nice, that sounds really good. Very like soundtracky. Like I could hear this in like a background of like a sad movie or something like that. Yeah, I really like it. Sounds really solid. The piano sound really pretty. The recording sounds really clean. I like the use of the kind of like pads and strings in the background. I think if I were to change anything about this, I think you have this kind of like tapping sound in the background. It sounds like you took the low end of the impact of you playing the notes and then added a bunch of like reverb and delay to it. I think that sound is a little bit too loud for me. I like that it's there. It adds like a really nice kind of cool texture to it. But I think that it could be a little bit quieter, and that'll leave a little bit more space for the main piano part and not have it feel quite as distracting. Like I said, I really like the use of the strings here. If you wanted to, it seems like you're trying to keep this track really subtle, really kind of like not too over the top. But I think if you wanted to make it a little bit more emotionally impactful, over here about 3/4 of the way through, maybe add another string layer about an octave higher, and that will help kind of like bring up the energy a bit. Like it sounds like the strings are moving up a little bit, but having another layer an octave higher, I think could help give it that extra little bit of like emotional charge to what is kind of like the climax of the song. If you want to keep it really kind of subtle, then don't do that. But if you want to bring a little bit more to it, that's probably what I would do. Or even like a little violin solo, like have somebody like play a little extra violin part at the end there. That'd be kind of nice here. Another thing that'd be kind of nice is maybe like a little bit of Foley or some kind of like found sound recording. You could go out the microphone and just find some sounds of things happening around you and record it and put it in there. Or people talking, or like I don't know. You could give it this very kind of like atmospheric feel. You could have sounds of like people walking down the street and cars going by, or the rain coming down, or I don't know, something kind of more kind of to put this in a scene. Totally optional. If you like the way it is, go for it. But that might be a direction I would look into if this were my track. Yeah, I definitely feel like you have more room in the higher frequencies to really kind of bring in some more intensity about 3/4 of the way through if you wanted to. But yeah, I really like it. It sounds super nice. Yeah, no worries, Mike. Thanks for sharing. Sweet. Well, at this point, I think we're gonna probably start winding things down. Normally, I've got a bunch of songs in the spreadsheet, but who knows where people are just busy today or don't have new songs. So I think I'm gonna call it right around here. But once again, I appreciate all you guys for sending in tracks and making the stream what it is. I will be back on Monday for another office hours stream, as well as I should probably hopefully be releasing all those songs I've been working on either Sunday or Monday, get them out into the world. So I'll make sure to link those guys so you guys can check those out once they're ready. Yeah, less is more, Mike. You don't need to have lots of tracks to make something sound really good. I think this sounds really solid, and 3 tracks is really all you need. It used to be if you wanted to make music, 4 tracks is all you would get. Yeah, I'm gonna toss everything up on Bandcamp and SoundCloud, and then at the end of the year, I'm gonna take the best ones and then release those on Spotify and all of the other things. Although I've been neglecting my SoundCloud, so I might just do Bandcamp. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's part of Cash Up Week, is figuring out how I'm gonna release all this stuff. Sweet. Well, once again, I appreciate all you guys for popping by and sending me your tracks, and I will see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend.